Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, John Harkar, and we're here today with Will Galloway. And what we're going to talk about is his journey from the streets to success and really how to build a profitable wholesale business. Hey, remember, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and really all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x your business by providing tools and resources to help you build the business you've always wanted to build that provides for the life you've always wanted to live. Will, welcome to our show.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for the invite, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, man, I'm super stoked to talk about this. I love your story, kind of what we talked about a little bit on the, before we started. But before we really get into the weeds and we start really getting, back how you got here, tell folks kind of how you got here, what your exposure to investing is, and, how it really changed your life.
Absolutely. So again, the title is from, the streets to success, man. And my past is just not perfect at all. It was, I was a product of my environment, just being around people that was doing the wrong things. I was raised in a single parent household. It was just my mom and my brother and my sister. And we had it rough. We stayed in a rough area. So we were around a lot of drug activity, gangs, just all the things that you don't want to be around. And unfortunately, that was just what surrounded me at the time. So I gravitated to that because that's what I saw. That's what I was exposed to at a young age. And, I gravitated to that all the way throughout my 20s, and it was rough, just living that type of lifestyle. But I knew in my heart I wanted more. I wanted to do better. I just didn't know what vehicle that I would take. I did end up, getting a job. When I graduated from high school, I had got hired at Home Depot. So I was working for Home Depot, but then ended up getting injured at Home Depot. I had fell off a forklift, and the forklift fell on my leg and crushed my foot. Yeah, and I had to have surgery. They end up paying me a settlement for that. Took that money and then, got back into the street life, what I knew, and repeated that cycle, and then after that, I just was like, man, enough is enough. I didn't want to do it anymore. Kept trying to figure out what I could do. And back in 2007, I always wanted to do real estate. I always liked real estate. I just didn't know how to get into it. But I was just like everybody else, watching those flip this house shows, thinking that what you see on TV is real.
I was going to ask, it's like, what's your exposure? Because you talked about the street life a lot, and I can't imagine the street life you talked about flipping a house. So were you watching shows? Were you watching online content?
Yeah, I was watching a lot of those shows, and I always was intrigued by it, but I just didn't know how to get started. I had a vision in my mind how I wanted it to be, but I just didn't know. So I felt like the only way I know is to take action and just try, And I had no plan. The only thing I had was a real estate agent who had some knowledge, who helped me through the process of getting the property. But once I got the property, I made tons and tons and tons of mistakes.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Let's touch on those and real fast. Let me go back to that. So you got a real estate agent that found the property for you,
Right.
okay? When you went to buy this, did you have any of that settlement money saved to buy this? Did you get a private money loan, hard loan? How did you do it?
So I did get a I want to say it was a FHA loan.
Mm-hmm.
And with an FHA loan, the money that I got from the settlement, I was able to put for my down payment. I was able to use some of that money for my down payment.
Okay.
And it was in Alabama. So at the time I was back and forth from Georgia to Alabama. So I know as a primary resident.
Okay, I was going to ask, did you label that as your primary?
Yeah, I had to put it as my primary because
Sure.
of course you have to make it. But again, I didn't approach it the right way. In my mind, I was saying this is going to be my primary residence, but I actually ended up selling the property. Once I got into the property, I ended up putting the work into it. I ended up selling it. It took me probably about a year later, I ended up selling the house. So originally I was trying to fix it up to keep the house to live in for my second residence.
Right.
But like I said, it took me over a year to renovate the property. And within that year, I just decided to go ahead and sell the property.
So let's talk about some of these renovation mistakes or some of these mistakes that you alluded to earlier. Were they mistakes in doing the wrong thing, not looking for things, not finding things? Kind of fill us in here.
So being that this was my first renovation, first off, I didn't have a real general contractor who had license, so I didn't pull permits. One thing I always tell people when you're doing renovations, never get like one person that does multiple things. Like let the electrician stick to the electricity, let the plumber stick to let the trade stick to what they do. Don't try to get a jack who does everything.
The nugget.
So I found a guy who was a neighborhood guy who repaired people's houses in the neighborhood, and he knew how to do everything. He was a jack. He was one of those type of people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're relying on one person who don't even properly have the right license, now your job is dependent upon that person. So
Right.
Every mistake that person makes, you're making the same mistakes, and you think you're saving money because you're thinking that this person costs less, but you're paying out more because you got more time invested and more mistakes having to be cleaned up from this person that's making these mistakes. So it ended up costing you more when you think you're saving on the front end, but you end up spending more on the back.
How did you find your contractors at the beginning? I mean, did you, obviously not knowing anything, like you said, did you just kind of go down
Again,
through?
there was somebody who was in a neighborhood who was this person was known for fixing everybody's house in the area.
Okay,
so everybody know, this is Bob who fixes.
And the referral's normally good.
And
the referral's normally good too.
Yeah, he was just a known handyman in the area, and I had been known him for a long time. And I told him that whenever I get a project, and I had seen some of his work before, but I just took a shot and said, "Hey, I'm gonna just give him the whole job," and that was a big mistake.
Okay. What other mistakes did you make besides obviously choosing the right contractor?
Again, when you're not choosing the right contractor, that goes back to not understanding material costs, not understanding material labor costs, not understanding timeline, because when you're renovating a property, you want to be done within a certain timeline, and again, if you don't pull permits, you want to make sure that you do pull permits because you want to make sure everything's up to code,
Sure.
So that was, some of the mistakes I would say that I made. And he did, and then he ended up making mistakes on some of the things that he was supposed to do. So then I ended up having to hire somebody else to clean up
fix those mistakes.
So that's why I say you thinking you're saving on the front end, but you end up spending more because now somebody's gonna charge you more if they have to, redo what somebody else did. That's the worst time to get a contract, is fixing somebody else's mess ups.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, well, and I think too some of it goes back to maybe the underwriting of the property as well, right? If not understanding the material costs and not factoring more holding times and unfortunately you didn't know what you didn't know.
Right.
But I love what you said about the trades and sticking in their own lane, man. I think that is important. Getting one person, make sure everything's dialed. It may cost you a little bit more, but it might also get you a lot more.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So you flipped this house. Took you a year.
It was like 6 months, but it took me over a year.
Okay. Did you do a full rehab? Down to the studs, or okay? So you did.
No, it wasn't even down to the studs. It was I take that back. We did a small addition.
Okay.
And we changed over pretty much everything from the flooring to the kitchen, the baths, and everything. We didn't gut the sheetrock, but we kind of modernized the house.
Okay. Did you make a profit on it?
I want to say I broke even. I may have made a few $1,000s, but I about broke even.
Well, that's tough. Such a long time.
I would say I lost. If considering it was a year.
You haven't factored your time, so yes, you did
exactly. Lose. And a lot of people don't factor their time in, but you got to factor your time in when you're doing renovation.
Yeah. All right. So you sold this property. What was next? How did you take that next step?
So I sold that property right before the crash. I bought the house in 2007. The crash happened in 2008. So I sold it right before the crash. So it's like I sold it, boom, the crash happened. So
someone's looking out for you, my friend.
I was going to say, luckily I got out of it right before the crash, and I was done. I was already done from that not working out. And then when the crash happened and they weren't lending any money no more, I was just done with real estate, period, at that point.
What did you do?
So the money I did put in it, because I put a lot of my own money into the property. So the money I did get back. So it's like I got my money back.
You got reimbursed, but not much profit.
Right. And then I still had some money saved up. So what I did was I ended up buying a building. And all of this happened in Alabama. I'm from Atlanta, but I have family in Alabama. So all of this was going on in Alabama, the project that I'm talking about. Okay. So when I sold that property, I still wanted to go legit. I didn't want to go back to the streets. I said, I want to go legit. I don't want to go back down that road.
Good for you.
And then I had made a covenant with God that I wasn't going to go back, so I just wanted to keep my promise. And a building that came available down there, this happened in 2009-ish. A building down there came available, and it used to be an old nightclub, and it had been vacant for a long, long time. And, I felt like, hey, I had enough money to buy the property cash. So I was like, I want to get into the nightclub business. And again, get into another business that I had no knowledge of. I had no experience in the nightclub business. I didn't know nothing about it. Now I had experience in throwing parties. Like I had been throwing parties ever since my teens and my 20s. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my friends, we had like an entertainment company. So we used to always throw parties. Sure. So I'm thinking that, I got promotional background, so I can run a club. Let's do it. So that was the next business that I got into. And that was that business started in 2010. Mm-hmm. And I stopped it in 2012.
Okay. Was it tough? Was running a nightclub tough?
It was very tough. Very tough. Just learning marketing, keeping up with the laws down there, the liquor laws, just getting people inside, just understanding like business. I mean, trying to run a business where this is the first time where I had to literally pay employees. I had to have bartenders. I had to have a DJ. I had to have somebody clean up the building. It was just so many moving parts, and it was new to me, And
you were unprepared. Yeah, no. And that makes total sense. I mean, I don't think many people can walk in and know how to run a bar or a nightclub.
Right.
So what did you do after that? So you had this thing till 2012. Where did you go next?
So 2012 was around the time I met my now wife, and she had a successful business at the time. She was running a hair salon here in Atlanta, that was very, very successful. And when we met,
if you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
We were just talking business. Like I was, I'm a business person. She's a businesswoman. So that's how we met. We just were talking. We had a lot in common with, talking business.
Yeah.
And as I got more comfortable with her, we just started vibing, and I started talking to her about my business, and she was, telling me about her business. She started, just analyzing my business from a number standpoint, because she's a numbers person and I'm not really a numbers person. So she started analyzing my business, started analyzing my numbers. She started just breaking down everything. And one day we just sat down and we just wrote down all of my numbers, and we just put everything in writing and put everything on paper.
Good for you.
She said, you're in the red, right? And I said, huh? He said, this business is losing money. It's bleeding money, And my ego at the time, I knew it inside, but I felt like I was breaking even. I felt like, okay, that's enough to keep it going.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to take on another failure. It's already that this house thing didn't work out. I didn't try to go the legit route. This ain't working out. The only other option I had after that was just get a job. And I didn't really want to do that, So I was just at a point where I was like, man, do I make a decision and shut this business down? Or do I let my pride come in between and just try to make something work that I know is not working,
Right.
So I prayed on it, and we prayed on it together, and I made a decision to just go ahead and shut it down. That was the hardest decision I could have ever made, because at that point I was looked at as somebody because I had ownership of a nightclub, so I had this ego of thinking I was a big nightclub owner and stuff like that. So I had to swallow my pride and say, I have a failing business and I have to let this go, and I have to figure it out and figure what's next for me. There's another chapter that I believe, and I have to figure that out. And that's what happened. I shut it down in 2012. From 2012, that whole year to 2013, that was one of the most miserable times of my life.
I can imagine. Big change.
Yeah, I got rid of the club. I had to get rid of my Mercedes. I had a Mercedes Benz. I had to get rid of my car. I had to get
all the toys back
because I didn't have no income coming in, and I had to live. I had to, and I was just bleeding money. By the time I, got out of it, I probably had about maybe 3 to 6. I had probably 4 to 6 months worth of money to, uphold my regular expenses, my regular bills.
Right.
And then after that, I was back to square one. Just trying to figure it out.
Okay. So then how did getting back into real estate come into play?
So what I had started doing, I had started helping my wife with marketing. I had started learning marketing. I had started doing a lot of online stuff. I had learned how to do online flyers, websites, and stuff like that. So I was actually helping my wife, and she was helping me out. She put some money in my pocket, just helping me out. And I was helping a couple of other businesses out with their marketing as I was learning marketing. And then, just like everybody else, I think I've heard the story plenty of times where you just some type of way stumble across one of those marketing videos talking about, hey, you want to get into real estate with no cash and no credit? And it had to be either an infomercial or a YouTube video, because I was researching a lot of stuff, in real estate. I was still intrigued by real estate, but I just didn't know what to do next. I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole again of what I did before. But when this concept came up, no cash, no credit, you can wholesale and assign contracts, I thought it was a scam, because again, here I'm the person that actually did a real estate transaction. I used my credit. I used my money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now they're talking about a strategy where you can make the same kind of money without having to do either or. I mean, of course, wholesaling, you do have to spend money, but you can get into a deal, with no money, depending on the situation. So I just didn't believe it. And I start, once I look at something and something that intrigues me, I get into overload with research. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I did. I researched and studied it, for probably about 2 months before I even started taking action on it.
Okay. And what year was this?
This was 2013.
2013. So you did your first wholesale when? 2013?
So I started doing marketing and everything late 2012, early 2013 is when I started marketing. It took me 9 months to close my first deal.
Really?
Uh,
Wow.
9 months, and
Wow.
I feel like I like to tell that story so much because I almost quit, and I know so many people quit, and I was that person. Like I was literally getting ready to tap out, John. I'm telling you, 9 months with no income coming in, but you putting out so
Well,
much.
that's my question is like, and I think this would be something important for people to hear. What kept you just going? I mean, we have our family, we have our stuff, but what was like, you've been through you failed that business, the nightclub, right? And now you're like, okay, well, I committed and there's nothing.
Well, a couple of things. One of the things was, my wife. I really wanted to be a provider. Me and my wife had started getting serious at the time, and I did not want to be a man who couldn't withhold my own. I didn't want to have to depend on her. I wanted to be the man to be able to be a provider.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, my back was against the wall. I was like, this got to work. It got to work.
Sure.
Like there is no plan B. And I think that's why a lot of people fail because they got multiple options. When you got only one option and that's option A and there is no B or C, then you're all in,
Yep.
and at the time I was all in. And I think what inspired me was I seen people that looked like me, people that was in my same age, same demographic. I seen a couple of those guys back then that was talking about wholesaling they were showing the checks they were closing, they were showing the deals they were closing. And that
Mm-hmm.
was inspiration. That was all I needed. I'm the type of person, if I see something and I
Yep.
see it can happen, then I believe I can make it happen.
Yeah.
So
And
I
then when
just
you
had
see
that
proof
belief.
of concept, you just,
Yeah, proof of concept. If you get proof of concept, that's all I need.
yep.
You know,
Okay. So you wholesaled that one. It took you 9 months for your first. How long did it take you to get your second?
my second one took probably about 2 or 3 months
Okay.
later.
You felt the process. You're starting to get it down.
Yeah,
So did you grow your business? Have you been a one-man show? I mean, let's talk about kind of what that all looks like.
yeah. So my first deal, ended up being the owner had two properties. I put both of them under contract.
Nice.
Um, Sold them, made $11,000. What I did was I took the majority of that money and put it right back into marketing. Because
Perfect.
prior to that 9 months, I didn't really have a big budget, so I was just doing a lot of bandit signs. I was writing. This was before, all this AI and all this direct marketing stuff was available.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then,
Chat
like,
GPT.
yeah, I couldn't afford to do none of that. Like with the letters, like yellow letters and all that postcards, I was handwriting my own. I couldn't afford to
Me
hire a
too.
mail house.
Me
What I'm
too.
saying? Bandit signs. I'm writing my own signs with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to do none of that. Cold calling, I'm calling from my phone. I ain't had no dollar.
I didn't have no VA in the
I didn't
Philippines
have none
doing
of
it
that. I
for
didn't
me.
have VA. I didn't even get a V. I didn't hire a VA until like maybe 4 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
So I literally took that money and I started putting it back into marketing. And
Good.
that's how I was able to scale much faster.
Awesome. So what does your volume look like today and your team look like today? I mean, are you still just a one man with you and your wife, or have you brought some other people on to help lighten the load?
Yeah. So within that time, I probably wholesale probably close to 100 deals.
Awesome.
Since that
Let's
time,
go.
at my full capacity, I had 6 VAs working for me at my full capacity. Right now, I'm down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of scaled back on my wholesaling business. Like I'm not, at first I was spending like $10,000+ a month on marketing. Now I'm spending maybe $2,000 to $3,000 a month on marketing.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I didn't want the burden of having to just take on so much. Like running a wholesaling business is a monster. Like it's
It's
a
a
lot.
lot, especially when you get into a lot of people like
Yeah.
on your
So
team.
I feel like, luckily what I did within that time is I bought a lot of properties that I now have as rentals.
Nice.
So my rental income, being that I own those properties free and clear, my rental income can offset a lot of, my expenses. So I don't have to,
Right.
I don't have to have so much output, because wholesaling is you eat what you kill, so if you don't make no money,
Yeah.
that's it.
Oh,
you
and
know,
especially
but
being a one-man show, it's like, and I was at one point too. But when you stop, if you go on vacation, everything stops.
everything stops.
It's just you.
It's you. Yeah. So it was important for me to have guaranteed income coming in, so, you know, I was smart enough, 6, 7 years ago when properties were still cheap,
To
taking a
buy the
lot of my
rentals.
wholesale profits and I was buying houses cash.
Good
And
for
I
you.
was stacking those houses up. Now I got close to 20 properties, one, maybe two of them got mortgages on them, small mortgages in them.
Nice. Good for you. That's all. I mean, that's the way to do it, man. You got it. You did it all at the right time. All right. So you got about 20 properties. How many properties are you wholesaling a month?
Right now we're wholesaling about 3 to 4 a month.
3 to 4. And how much you trying to keep a month? How many?
How many are we trying to hold on to?
Yeah.
I haven't been holding on to a lot. We're about to get back to starting buying more. My goal is to start buying one a month.
Okay. What's been holding you back? Funds?
Well, what's been holding me back is most of those properties that I said I own, I didn't take no loans out on them, and I haven't borrowed any money. So all the money I make, put it back into those properties.
Got
My
it.
goal is to put all the money into what's going to bring me more revenue.
Yeah.
So if I put my money into this and fix it up, that's rental income that I'm betting on. So I'm doing all this out of pocket cash. I'm
Got
not
it. No,
getting any
that's
loans, none of that.
no debt.
So
No
yeah, so
debt
all
is
of
the
my
best way
money that
to.
I make, it goes right back into my pocket.
I love it. No debt's the best debt. What's your favorite strategy? Wholesaling it, flipping it, holding it? I know. I noticed you do Section 8 as well.
Yeah, my that's my favorite strategy. Really is holding, and I'm getting ready to. My next venture is going to be seller financing. So
Okay.
I just want to get to the point where I just got money coming in every month because I
Yeah.
understand, like I say, wholesaling. I do it because it's fun. I like to talk about it. I like to teach on it, and that's what got me started. That's what got my feet wet in the game. Wholesaling. So I think I'll always wholesale.
Mhm.
But I'm not trying to be like I used to be. I used to try to be the biggest wholesaler in Atlanta, but I don't have nothing to prove no more. I don't want to be that person. I just want to close a few deals a month, make a little money and
Yep.
just keep building my rental portfolio because I'm ready
Exactly.
to throw in the flag and I'm ready to retire. I just want all this money coming in monthly from my cash flow.
I love it. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes that people make when they get into the business or want to get into the business?
You talking about wholesaling business?
Anything, wholesale, fix and flip, anything. I mean, like if they're new, let's say they were engineers and now they want to get into doing investing and with houses.
Yeah.
What are some mistakes that you see people making?
Yeah, I did a video about this on my Instagram. I said one of the most common mistakes I see most investors, not even just new investors, even seasoned investors make is not understanding what a real deal is. I think the most value you can have is once you understand what a deal looks like and how
Mhm.
to analyze and comp and just know what
Underwrite
a
the
deal.
property properly.
Once
Yeah.
you know what a real deal looks like, then you'll always make money. Most people don't know how to, a lot of people don't know, they don't know how to underwrite a real deal. And that's why they put properties on the contract and they can't sell them or they
Mhm.
overprice them or they in it too much. And in real estate, you make your money on the buy, not the sell.
Exactly.
So if you know how to buy right, meaning you know how to analyze and you know what a real deal looks like, you're going to always make money on the back.
Yep. Where do you want your company to be? If we got back on this podcast in let's say 2 years, where do you want to talk about how much your business has grown to?
Just cash flow. That's really my only concern. I just want to triple what I'm already bringing in.
Okay. Okay.
Just more cash flow. Because again, my mindset is the more cash flow that I build, it's like I'm cutting off years of my life of having to work. It's
Exactly.
almost like paying for my retirement early.
Yeah,
So
it's your freedom number, right? It's that
it's my
number
freedom. Yeah,
where
exactly.
whether or not you get out of bed, it don't matter because the money's there to pay the bills.
Absolutely.
Tell us real fast about this, your Ultimate Wholesaler Academy and what that is.
Yeah, so the Ultimate Wholesaler Academy is just my way of giving back. I know, like I said earlier, I know how wholesaling has changed my life. It has allowed me to become financially free. And I believe it's like one of the easiest ways to get into real estate. A lot of people want to get into real estate, but they don't have the experience. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe they don't have the credit. Maybe they don't have the license. And I feel like wholesaling is the easiest way to get involved And it taught me everything. Wholesaling, it taught me how to be a great wholesaler. It taught me how to be a better flipper from what I did in '07. It
Yep.
taught me how to buy properties, hold properties, become a landlord. It taught me all this because as a wholesaler, you're dealing with these type of investors. These are the type of people you're selling properties to. So
Yep,
quite naturally,
exactly.
you're learning as you're selling, as you're doing business with these type of people. So it taught me everything. And I feel like, it's a great intermediate way to get into the business. And, I know what it meant to me. I know how it's changed my life. So if I can do the same thing, for others, um, that'll bring peace to me,
I love it, man. I
enjoy
love
living.
it. God bless you for that. Well, that's awesome. And once again, thank you for coming on here today. But so for folks to be able to get a hold of you, whether it's for the Wholesaler Academy, to just maybe pick your brain on whatever it is, how's the best way, or what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm on social media, so I'm on Facebook, Will Galloway, Instagram and TikTok at Uncle Bill Buys Houses, and I have a YouTube channel called Real Estate Pays Me. So start following me on any one of those social media platforms.
Sweet, and we'll put all that on the show notes for this. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, there'll be links for you to click on. And once again, Will, I appreciate you sharing your story, man. I appreciate your perseverance. God bless what you're doing and that you're giving back. That's super awesome. You guys, and I hope everybody got some really good nuggets from this. I mean, I know I did. And I hope you guys had a good show, and look forward to see you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.